For USCFootball.com, Connor Morrissette, Chris Trevino. We're here inside Old Annenberg because there aren't too many students on campus the week of Thanksgiving. Let's talk about football practice today, Chris, after USC's Tuesday practice of UCLA week. This is Instant Analysis. How's it going?
Doing pretty well. I'm glad. I forgot my jacket, so I'm glad you're not making me do it outside, and we can do it inside for once.
Yeah, not too busy here, so we're not interrupting any studying. Well, Chris, a lot of guys limited today. A few people on the offensive and defensive line just not doing a whole lot. It's the end of the year. We're expecting some bumps and bruises, but this is a pretty banged-up team right now.
Yeah, physical Oregon game this past weekend, and you're seeing the effects. Usually when you have a big national opponent and big national game, sometimes the effects after that, you got some limited guys, you got some guys out as they heal up for another week. So it seems like the effects of that game have taken a toll this week, and we'll see how guys progress throughout the week. But yeah, a lot of guys in the yellow limited and some key guys out.
Offensive line definitely more affected right now, but we'll see how some guys go as the week goes on. We'll be back tomorrow. Practice will be open again, as open as they do it. So we'll be here. Kamari Ramsey came out, but he came out last week in pads and didn't play, so not exactly sure what that means. Leaving, it looked like Wayman Jordan had been more active than we've been used to seeing, so that's some good news. I don't know if he'll play against UCLA, but at least he's getting in more football shape.
Yeah, he looked much more mobile just walking out last week when he came out in pads for Tuesday. He had like a limp to him. It did not look great. Today, he looked a lot more natural the more we're used to seeing him. And again, we're just basing guys off how they're walking out of practice, but you can tell a lot from that. And he did look miles ahead better than he did last week. So kind of on Wayman Jordan watch a little bit for this week. We'll see if he comes out tomorrow because he did not come out last Wednesday. So coming out Wednesday would be another big sign for him.
One of the highlights of that USC-Oregon game was the Trojan passing attack, where Jade Mayava found Makai Lemon for 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Lane was over 100 yards. Tanu Kynes, for the first time in his career, was over 100 yards. 24 of those yards were on a pass from Makai Lemon. All of those guys out there and available today. Makai Lemon named one of the finalists for the Biletnikoff Award. Chris, I saw you going back and forth with some people on X today about that award. Lemon, in my opinion, has to be the front runner for that award, but let's see what he can do this weekend. If he can finish strong, that would be significant because it looks like Ohio State, with Jeremiah Smith, they'll get the opportunity to not just play against Michigan, but then play in the Big Ten title game, which would give him an extra game to put up some more stats. But Lemon right now, I think, is in the driver's seat. Doesn't he have to be?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way as well. Leads the Big Ten in receptions, yardage, yards per game, tied for first with those touchdowns. 13 total touchdowns overall, including that touchdown pass, 12 from scrimmage. He's having a fantastic season and one of the most deadly route runners in the country. Played through some injuries. He's banged up right now, but still puts up really good numbers. And yeah, I was fighting out there on social media, but I don't feel bad about my position that he is one of the best wide receivers in the country and is well deserving over some of those other guys. Skylar Bell, UConn, Jeremiah Smith of Ohio State, obviously 2 really, really good receivers. Jeremiah Smith, we know, is the better prospect, but Makai Lemon, I think, is having a better season right now, and he is the best receiver in the country, not just going off stats, but going off beyond that and how defenses literally scheme up to stop you. That's what you have to do, because if you don't, he is going to murder you out there on the field, and he has done that to some teams this year. And we'll see what he can do against UCLA. And I would expect Lincoln Riley is going to do whatever he can to get some extra touches from Makai Lemon for him to put his final stamp on his resume for that Biletnikoff Award.
That Iowa game for Lemon, the magnum opus of his Biletnikoff potential winning season. We'll see if he can cross that off of his list, get that trophy in his cabinet. He deserves it. Any other tunnel observations from you, Chris, today?
Not really. The only other thing about this practice is there were some recruits in attendance for this game. You can find the full list of guys, actual names in the Ghost Notes, but there were a couple big-time 2027 defensive back prospects on campus, and then several of the commits, including Tamuhini Tupoi and Deshaun Rideau, were on campus and at practice, hanging out with the coaches.
So was my guy Andrew Williams, Fremont High. Always great to see him. Okay, let's get to what we heard after practice. So, look, I just have to come clean here, Chris. It was me who asked Lincoln Riley if he's coming back next year because we just continue to hear little chirps, little rumors, what's going on, this opening. So we asked him, or I guess I asked him, and he said 100%, I'll be back. Look what we're building, pointed to the new football facility to his left. It's impossible to say what exactly is going to happen. I didn't expect any other answer, but he did say 100% he plans to be back next season. So does that make you feel reassured at all?
No, because you can never trust what coaches are saying, but you put him on record, and that's what his statement is on record. So that has value to it. But at the end of the day, it's a fair question because we are entering one of the craziest coaching carousels that we've seen in college football. So it's going to be incredible over the next several weeks. Some names are coming off the board. Oklahoma State just hired their guy out of North Texas, and James Franklin came off the board for Virginia Tech. So names are starting to get over, and it's getting off the board, and it's going to be crazy hectic with everything going on. So it's only fair. And we've seen guys jump that you weren't expecting to jump. And again, not saying he's going to jump, but his name has been out there, as would many other coaches' names, because this is a crazy portal for coaches right now with all the jobs that are opening up. So everyone needs to take stock of their head coaches because they could be getting a call. Their agent could be given a call. So we're just doing our due diligence. You're doing the due diligence of asking him and making him say something on record. It's like, okay, I'm 100%. He did sound a little genuine when he said that. You know, there are a lot of great things for USC coming around the bend. Obviously, the new facility, the number one recruiting class. There are a lot of things. They are in line to be a double-digit win team this year. They take care of business UCLA, and then obviously with the bowl game that they play in. So there are a lot of good things off of this season. Disappointing with the fact that you couldn't beat Illinois. That was a close loss. Couldn't take down either your Notre Dame, and then the team that's been a thorn in your side the past few years in the West Coast and Oregon couldn't get those games. But there were some good things you built off this season, and we'll see how that manifests into 2026 with all those things I just mentioned going on. So there are a lot of reasons for him to stay right now, and got a good contract, good money, LA, all these things. So I personally would have a hard time seeing him leave, but at the end of the day, anything can happen.
I forget exactly what game it was, but during that Big Ten winning streak, I think it had to have been Northwestern. Riley was asked, are you coming back? And he said, I'm where I need to be.
Yeah, he reiterated that as well.
Yes, but that to me wasn't a 100% I'll be back. That to me implied I'm where I need to be right now. So if you're watching this and saying, why do they keep asking him that? It's because I was looking just for one more guaranteed, like just a little bit more of a sure thing from him. And again, though, who knows what the future holds, just because you hear coaches say one thing all the time and then something else happens. But it's my view that it would be a mistake for him to leave, because I do think they have things trending in the right direction. And if you want to hear more thoughts from me on that, go listen to Sunday night's Tunnel Vision, me, Ryan, and Riley. The other thing that was interesting today, Chris, was about Hassan Longstreet. Our colleague Ryan Karchi asked Lincoln Riley how he's seen Hassan Longstreet get better this year and just what it's like for him when Jade Mayava has a decision to make. And if Mayava ends up coming back, that would mean almost certainly that Longstreet would be the backup again if he chose to stay. And I thought the most interesting part of this back and forth was Riley talked about how, look at what we're building. I would hope right now no one would try to go somewhere else. Look at what we're building here, and look at my history with quarterbacks. If Longstreet comes back and sits again, it's a risk, but don't you think playing quarterback at this school with that coach is worth a year of waiting if Mayava comes back? I do, but I know everyone's different, and there's money involved now, way more than there used to be. He could potentially go somewhere else. I get all of that, but the situation here, especially for a really talented quarterback, to sit for 2 and then be the guy for sure after Mayava, that would be appealing. And hey, Mayava might not even come back. I personally think he will. We'll see on that. Thoughts on all of this, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to throw out there, but at the end of the day, Hassan Longstreet, young 5-star quarterback, the age of NIL and the transfer portal, very easily, all those things around him, it's very easy to see he could leave, and I'm sure there's some feelers being put out there. This is a different age of college football. Kids don't sit around and wait for their turn anymore. Miller Moss was a throwback in that sense, and then he ended up leaving in the portal. So it's hard to wait, especially as a quarterback, especially one that, 5-star, you get all these accolades coming out of high school, and then you're the guy, and then you got to sit behind a guy, and then maybe it's 2 years you're sitting behind that guy because maybe he doesn't make the jump with Jada Maeva. I am in the same boat as you. I think he will be back. It's been borderline where he feels like, yes, he could go to the NFL, but he could also come back and really build on that stock, and that would be big for USC to get a guy who's going into his 3rd year in the system, is one of the top Big Ten quarterbacks. That's a lot to build around. You could entice, maybe a big-time receiver to come and play for next season with presumably Lane and Mekhi Lemon gone. We know Mekhi Lemon, he's going to the NFL. So the Longstreet equation is going to be an interesting piece for this offseason, the next couple of weeks when the portal does open up. But, Lincoln Riley was putting his resume out there and saying, it's pretty good. You want to stay here. You want to be part of this. You want to be developed by me. And if you wait your turn, great things can happen. If you jump around, and I don't really want to throw the name out there, but Malachi Nelson, we see what's happened with Malachi Nelson with jumping around. Sometimes you got to stay. Sometimes you got to face a little adversity. Sometimes you got to learn from that. And I think that would be the best case for young quarterbacks to do. Doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it is better to leave, but I think in this situation, Hassan Longstreet would be well suited to sit another year. Probably will play a little bit more, since they have to worry about the red shirt hanging over his head. But at the end of the day, he's really talented, and I think he is somebody you definitely want to keep in the fold for the future of the program.
USC plays UCLA Saturday, a week after losing to Oregon to all but certainly get knocked out of the college football playoff. It's a rivalry game Saturday, but there has to be some hit to the motivation just because the ultimate goal is no longer in front of this team. Talking to Riley and some of the players today, they, of course, said we're all motivated, we're ready. What do you read into how prepared this team will be this week? UCLA, not a very good team, but in a rivalry game, anything can happen. When USC has a very tough loss the week before, how does that affect this game Saturday and the motivation of the team in your mind?
This is something I talked about on the Helium Boys podcast the other day. Shameless plug, I'm sorry. But
no, please.
That was kind of my key storyline. Like, how would USC handle an emotional loss up in Oregon where your ultimate goal, as you've been, defining it with the college football playoff, all that has been taken away. You're not playing for that anymore. And to come back after that, how do you get up for it? Obviously, it's a rivalry game, and that helps. But, there's still some, the word I'm looking for, there's still some sadness about, it's been emotional weeks building off the Notre Dame. You beat Nebraska, you beat Northwestern, you beat Iowa in a crazy comeback to keep your dreams alive for a CFP berth. You've been winning, and then you lose. And then it's like, feels like maybe you're empty a little bit. And then we got to go play UCLA. I don't want to say nothing on the line. I know it's a rivalry game, but you had bigger goals at that point. You wish this game had more stakes than the victory bell. And I know some people are watching this like, that's all the stakes that matter. That's all that should be matter is beating UCLA. And I get that, but this team also was on a path and building. Their games get more important and more important. And then they don't come through in the biggest one of the year. So now you have to look at this game like, okay, our goal is beat UCLA, get 9 wins, and then what? We're going to go play in the Alamo Bowl. That's tough to get over, especially as you've been building. Didn't see a burnt boat today. Probably would have been out if they had won. So, the context changed, the situation changed, the emotions changed. So that could be tough for kids. They're 18 to 22-year-olds. So they've been working towards something. That thing is not going to happen. They have to change the goal. Sometimes that can get tricky, and sometimes you can come out with that emotional hangover. So I'm interested to see how this team responds to that. They got some injuries. I didn't quite feel like it was a rivalry week, Connor. We didn't get to talk to many people. The one person, I don't know how it was with King, but with I'm probably jumping ahead, but Kalon Miller really emphasized how important this rivalry was. When I talked to him, I got that sense like this was important, especially obviously he is a local kid. He's been growing up watching this rivalry. He said this is the most important thing. Like beating UCLA is the most important thing. This game should make you want to dig deeper, practice harder, run faster, do all these things. If you're injured, suck it up a little bit more because you need to be out there because you need to play UCLA. I got that from him. We didn't talk to a lot of players, so I didn't get that from other people. We talked to Nuke Hines. He's never played in this game before, We didn't get that sense. So I'll see what it feels like tomorrow talking to some defensive players. But I didn't really feel the juice, and maybe that's just because they lost. You're coming back, you're like, you're hanging hands a little bit. So I don't know, it's tough. I feel like I'm rambling, but at the end of the day, it's a weird week with Thanksgiving and the campus is closed and all that going on. So I think it's tough to navigate the emotions of coming off that loss and trying to rebound mentally and physically.
We did get the just another game from Maeva, which, to his credit, he said that the whole way. It doesn't matter who the opponent was. That's sort of just his mindset. But I'm with you. It would have been nice to see a little bit more fire. And Lincoln Riley was asked what makes this rivalry special, and he always goes back to he's played in some pretty good ones, or excuse me, he's coached in some pretty good ones. What do you think? I mean, Texas-Oklahoma to me is a little bit of a different level than USC, UCLA. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think so. But this is also different in that they're right up the street from each other. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe like an hour drive in the traffic, but you know what I mean. They're close. You can get to the one and the other in a car's drive. So it is more intimate in that regard, and they're a lot more mixed. You see UCLA, you see USC, and all that stuff. So it is unique in that sense. But this is still one of the storied rivalries in college football. Not quite, Notre Dame USC level, but there is some siblingness in this, and that makes it even more intense in that regard. So he's talked about his love for rivalries and stuff. I know he's gotten a little heat for some things about rivalries, especially with the Notre Dame stuff. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to see what they do on the field and how they come out, and if he has them motivated enough to handle the UCLA rivalry. USC has only won this game under him, close. They've been some close games, and UCLA has blown out USC in some of these games under him, and they've been trading wins here. So over the last 5 years, so I think it's going to be really interested to see how it plays out this week, coming off that Oregon loss.
In his first year, they had the close win in the Rose Bowl when Corey Foreman had the pick, and then followed that up with the frustrating defeat in the Coliseum, Caleb Williams last year. Then last season it was Jaden Maeva leading USC to a close win. This year, USC is a 22.5-point favorite. I don't think it's ever been that big under Lincoln Riley. They do have a chance here, motivation be damned, to go out and win big. And if that doesn't happen, if they don't win by 21, forget about covering the spread. Win this game by 20 at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, they should. They've eked them out. You want to see one where Lincoln Riley and the Trojans beat down on the Bruins. That's what USC fans are still waiting to see in this rivalry game.
So, a lot to play for still. He's Chris Trevino. I'm Connor Morrissette. Unless you have any final thoughts, I'm going to wrap up.
You do you.
Okay, thank you.
I forgot. It's backwards hat. It's backwards hat, Lincoln. We buried the lead. I'm so sorry, but here we go now.
Well, if you made it 18 minutes in, thank you. This has been Tuesday's edition of Instant Analysis. We'll be back tomorrow with one more before Thanksgiving. Hope you're having a good week, and we'll see you next time.